welcome back to Record. I'm sitting here with Ryan Hamachek, the Director of Wellness and Health Promotion, and Andrea Katahira, the AVP of Institutional Equity and the Title IX Coordinator. Did I get your titles correctly?
Yes.
Awesome. So we're here to kind of talk about mandate reporting and what exactly happens if someone does experience sexual assault or sexual misconduct. Mm-hmm. So what is mandate reporting for someone who's never heard of it? Yeah. What is that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, if I can just change the language a little bit.
Absolutely.
We don't in practice use the term mandated reporting. I know prior to my coming to SU, I think that was often the language used, and I know many people still do, but I'm trying to distinguish it from the requirement that all staff and faculty have to report suspected child abuse, which one is mandated by law, and two is in fact a report meant to initiate action by those that it's being reported to. So suspected child abuse is reported to either Child Protective Services or the police. And the point of it is so that they will investigate and look into that and protect the children, with the idea that children can't have their own voice or may not be are in a more vulnerable position to speak for themselves. What we have on campus when it comes to students who experience sexual misconduct is not the same. A notification to me that is from a faculty or staff that a student has experienced it is not the equivalent of a report that leads to an investigation and adjudication process. Basically, if a student discloses or a staff or faculty member otherwise learns that a student has experienced sexual misconduct, and by that we mean sexual assault, dating, domestic violence, stalking, sexual harassment, any form of sexual misconduct, the staff or faculty member notifies me. I mean, first of all, we ask the staff or faculty member to provide non-judgmental support, listen to the student, direct them to resources, and then notify me. And there's a few reasons, and I had told you prior that there's a lot of nuances, and sometimes the exact follow-up might depend on whether the incident involves another SU affiliate or not, on campus or not. But the basic things that we're trying to do, one is if in fact the student, in disclosing it to the staff or faculty member, intended to report it to the university for action, that we are indeed following up and acting. So, there's been cases where, I'm sure we've all heard of them, where there's been university officials or staff members who were aware of some misconduct going on and no one did anything about it. They didn't report it. And so one of the main goals is trying to make sure we're not missing anything.
Yeah.
Beyond that, what we're trying to do is make sure the student survivor is aware of all resources, assistance, and reporting options that are available to them so they can make the choice that's right for them.
Definitely. So sorry.
Go ahead. I know, I'm just going
What exactly is the process of reporting? So once a incident is communicated to the university, what happens from there?
So if a student were to disclose to a staff or faculty member and they call, usually it's but a call, sometimes they'll email me. What I ask first and foremost, it's very, I don't think it's happened that there's, like the incident just happened, it's an emergency situation. If it was, that would be the first thing we would be dealing with, is what immediate steps need to be taken. But usually, first and foremost, what I'm asking is, did you provide the student all of the resources? And specifically, we have a resource sheet that kind of outlines all of the options. And one of the reasons it's especially helpful for the staff or faculty member to check in with me on that is because, well, one, a lot of staff and faculty don't experience this very often, having someone report to them. And even though they may know of all the resources in the moment, they may not think of them all, or they might have known about the sheet and they're like, oh yeah, I forgot to do that. The other thing is, even though a lot of our resources are fairly obvious, like public safety, CAPS, Campus Ministry, Student Health Center, the university assistance that we can provide isn't one people think of very often. And what I mean when I say university assistance is, so first of all, overall, our goal is to support the students' health and well-being, and to accommodate them or assist them in ways that will allow them to continue their education here at SU.
Okay.
You know, oftentimes students who experience sexual misconduct, their education can get derailed in some way.
Yeah.
So when I talk about assistance, a large part of that is academic accommodations, like excused absences. If because of the incident they just need time away, if they have reported it and are going to the police, I can make sure they have excused absences, and I can do it in a streamlined way so that the student doesn't have to go to each of their faculty member and explain what happened. And so it allows them that support without having to tell their story or disclose it to others. So that's one of the main things I highlight when I talk to a staff or faculty member is, did you talk to them about the various kinds of assistance? There's also housing accommodations, no communication orders. Sometimes work accommodations are appropriate. And that's very personalized, the kind of assistance we can provide. So that's usually another piece I'm emphasizing.
Definitely. And could we speak a little bit about what other resources are here on campus for a student who has experienced some type of, abuse?
Yeah, so one of the things that I'll offer, in addition to the things that Andrea mentioned, are some of the peer supports that we have on campus. So one of those is through wellness and health promotion through the student organization, the Health and Wellness Crew. So they are a group of students who are trained to respond to lots of things related to health, but specifically each year we bring in Harborview Center for Sexual Assault and Traumatic Stress to train them on how to respond if somebody comes to them and makes a disclosure. We spend a lot of time talking with them about how best to support a student peer-to-peer in that moment, make sure that they would get all those same resources that they would get if they went to any staff person on campus, but sometimes that peer-to-peer conversation is a little bit more comfortable. And then also recently there's a student club called the Student Support Network, which is a group of students, many of whom are survivors, and they hold a couple of different meetings, but one of those is really centered on the survivor experience. And so for students, oftentimes disclosing sexual misconduct, that first disclosure comes to a peer. And so part of my work is also just making sure that campus, everyone is aware of the resources, so that regardless of where a student goes, they're being directed ultimately to Andrea as an option, as really that central point person who is up to date on everything that we have and can offer. And ultimately, the thing that I appreciate about working with Andrea most is that once a student connects with Andrea, really the decision is theirs in terms of where they want to take things and what next steps might be appropriate for them.
Wonderful. Well, thank you too for joining us today. We really appreciate it.